Hi guys, and welcome back. So hopefully, and what I suggest you do is you go and watch my video on the speculation game, or the game about why people wanted to buy shares, because this will make much more sense alongside having done that. But what I want to just discuss really quickly is, why did the stock market grow in America? Because this is part of that topic on the boom, okay? So this is within the idea of why was there a boom in the 1920s? Part of the reason why there was a boom was because people were rapidly buying up shares on the stock market. And that was creating the illusion of kind of an increase in wealth, as you might have also experienced yourself on the stock market game. So why did people buy shares in America? Now, over 2 million people in America bought shares in the 1920s. Demand had absolutely soared because of this idea that the stock market was invincible. Everyone is making money, so just keep on buying, buying, buying. And as more people buy, as demand grows, the price obviously rises. Okay, that's what happens when you have supply and demand. So all of this was creating this illusion, as I keep talking about, of this invincible stock market, of no risk whatsoever to your money. You're going to get it back. Now, because there was demand, share price rose up to 300%, and more demand, as I said, led to higher prices. This also led to confidence, okay? The American public are keen to buy shares because they see their shares gaining in price, gaining in money. What could be the problem? At the same time, as I explained in the video on the game that we played, we have the success of big companies, such as Ford, such as Edison Radio, such as Smeg fridges, helped by developments in mass production and the growth of hire purchase, who appear to be being really, really successful. Now, the banks, okay? So at the same time, the banks, and it's in the bank's interest to encourage this stock market to grow. And what they do is they allow people to buy on the margin. Now, buying on the margin meant that some people could borrow up to 90% of their investment. It meant you did not have to have the original capital in order to enter into these into this concept of buying shares and stocks. Now, that's all well and good if you're successful, but the problem comes about if you make a loss, or if your project doesn't work. It's exactly the same thing today when banks decide whether to lend money to you to buy a house and a mortgage, or to lend money to you to start a business. They'll look at your proposal, and they'll look at who you are, and they make a decision based on all of that, over whether you are the kind of person who will be able to pay the money back, or actually whether you're a bit of a risk. And at this point in time, the banks are not assessing anybody. They are just throwing money left, right, and center at anyone. You want 90% of your investment to go on the stock market? Sure. Okay, take it. Be my guest. And it was that concept that the stock market's invincible. It doesn't matter who we lend money to. Everyone will be successful. That meant banks were just stupidly lending more and more and more and more than they originally had. And the idea is this: banks lend money by giving away other people's savings. So if you have two people, and person A puts their savings into a bank, their savings they've worked incredibly hard for over all of their lifetime, they put their money in the bank, they put $1,000, let's say, we'll go low, $1,000 lifetime savings into the bank. Now, person B comes along and says, I'm a young, happy entrepreneur, and I'm going to go and buy on the stock market. Can I have some money? Can you lend me some money to go and do that? The bank makes an assessment, and what the bank will do is lend person A's savings to person B to go and spend them and risk them on the stock market, in the hope that person B will come back with the money and a bit more, and that person A's savings will be restored and the bank will keep the extra. That's how it works. Now, that's fine, but the problem obviously comes when the bank is just lending money willy-nilly and not really, thinking about it at all, because then we've got an issue. People's savings potentially are not going to be there anymore. And again, that's something to remember when we get to the crash. Now, we also have Republican policies. The government encouraged a process with little regulation, laissez-faire, and low taxes meant people had more money, disposable income to invest. Now, I'm just going to give you, for the end of this, a couple of pieces of evidence that you can use as grade 9 evidence to really kind of include in your essays on America topic and to get the highest marks. But just to recap, so at this time we have the government encouraging the stock market, the growth in the stock market, and we also have banks lending huge amounts of money on the margin and not assessing who they're lending money to. So all of this is encouraging people that they have more money than they've got, and they're buying on the stock market. So in terms of some grade 9 evidence and some factual evidence you can learn to include in your assessments, in 1920, there were only 4 million people who owned shares. By 1929, there were 5 times this. Okay, so a hugely significant increase. The price of a share in the General Electric Company increased from 129 cents to 396 cents from March to September of 1929. Okay, so that gives you specific evidence of how far one share increased. Herbert Hoover, who was the president at this time, said, "The poor man is vanishing from among us." Okay, so this all encourages and plays into this idea that we have an illusion of wealth and prosperity during the boom.